After hearing about the UFO Days Festival in Elmwood, Wisconsin on Preston Dennett's YouTube channel, I decided I just had to go for myself and check it out. The story and the subsequent festival intrigued me enough to fly to Minneapolis, rent an SUV, and secure a camping spot in the nearby town of Irvington for the weekend. Saturday's event schedule started with a fun run, a family-friendly walk and run through town. I was surprised with the turnout. While it seemed the whole town was participating in the fun run, I walked around getting a feel for the quaint little town, population estimated at 805 residents. Elmwood is situated in the middle of farmland. There's a lot of corn and a lot of dairy cows. Furniture manufacturing, injection molding, and a rock quarry are some of the other industries. Everyone I met was incredibly nice as I wandered around and waited for the first presenter, Aaron Gulyas, from the podcast, The Saucer Life. Aaron was going to be speaking about Ray Palmer, the Milwaukee-born magazine editor whose work became famous in the 30s, 40s, and 50s in such publications as Wonder Stories, Amazing Stories, Other Worlds, Fantastic Adventures, Fate Magazine, and Amherst Press. Elmwood is a really apple pie kind of town. There's a Veterans Memorial Park that really displays the town's patriotic heart. They even have a marker for the mothers of veterans, which I found particularly moving. I also just loved the way the whole town got into this whole UFO thing, with sculptures around and funny little cutouts. It was really a lot of fun to just look at. Every year, the town picks a local artist to design a button for the year's festival. This is a display of those. The auditorium was a great space, climate controlled, with a bunch of volunteers to help all the presenters get set up. Signs of the town's history were on display, as well as Old Glory herself.
Reports. And the thing about Elmwood, the thing that keeps it in the news, or kept it in the news, and continues to keep it in the news, is taking Stars and Stripes Days in 1978 and saying, let's make this UFO Days. Let's celebrate this. And no, we're not going to celebrate this by having a massive UFO convention. We're going to celebrate this by just being our town and being ourselves and doing, honestly, many of the same activities we always did during our summer festival. But we're going to compete with Mosquito Days and Cucumber Days and every other festival that has something attached to it that seems to happen here in the Midwest. And that's something that I think Ray Palmer would have smiled on. It's a way to get the story out. It's a way to generate revenue. Just look at how many of these chairs were purchased with funds raised from UFO Days, which is great. You need to put that stuff on chairs so people remember that these things do generate revenue. It's not just somebody's fun hobby or something like that. So Wisconsin has a massively important place in UFO history. It's not all New Mexico. It's not all California. The Midwest has a foot in the door as well. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But thanks so much for...
There was a lot more to Aaron's presentation, but for the sake of brevity, I wanted to show you some of the other fun things that were going on in the street. Like this wrestling tournament put on by the American Wrestling Federation. It was a lot of fun.
Whoa! Oh!
like this cornhole tournament. What red-blooded Midwesterner doesn't like cornhole? They also have a UFO medallion hunt, where they hide a special medallion around town and give clues for the participants to find them. This young man was looking for hints from this gentleman who I had met when I was getting my tickets for the bus tour. The young man's name is Boston, which I thought was funny since he's wearing an Aerosmith shirt. And the older gentleman was John. Super nice, super friendly people. As it turned out, Boston was the design winner for the button for this year. And he found the medallion and won $100. And then it was time for the bus tour, which I should mention is completely free.
Good afternoon, people. I'll be your tour guide. I'm Tom Forster. This was George Wheeler's sighting, April '75. And you gotta remember, this was just a little pot, just a little hole in Corey right there. All the rest of this was hayfield and field. Where he's seen this thing, I'd say was halfway between here and that white shed is where it was. But you got to remember, this was a hayfield, it was level. And he had seen one the year earlier, nothing like this one. He was on patrol he was a town cop. And his history on him, he was a former New York State trooper and a World War II fighter pilot. And he seen an orange glow up Tunnel Hill, well that's Tunnel Hill, and he took off immediately. He thought it was a plane crash or something, it was so bright. So he called dispatch with Gail Helmer and reported where he was going, what he was doing. He got up here and he would have stopped like right outside the driveway on the road. He saw a 500-foot crash, or it was 500 feet away from him. I'd say, imagine 100 feet over a hayfield. He estimated the size to be 250 feet wide, bigger than a two-story house. It had a revolving, something inside of it was revolving slowly like a turbine with a black appendage hanging down, not to the ground, but close to the ground. The orange light on top of the craft was so bright that he couldn't look directly at it. And that's when he pulled his gun. And don't pull your gun if you ever see one, because a blue light flashed and he couldn't remember anything after that for a while. Well, the dispatcher couldn't get him, couldn't bring him up again, so was wondering what. So she called Paul Fredrickson. He was a nursing home manager. He lived at the first house at the bottom of the hill to zip up and see what, before any patrol cars or anybody could get there, see what was going on. And Dave Moots was going home. He found him sitting in a traffic lane on the road, slumped over and passed out in the front seat. He got him, aroused him, and he slumped right back over again. He said he's been struck, not by a car, by a UFO. He was taken home the next morning. He was taken in the hospital to be checked out. He come back home, and a few days later he was admitted to the hospital for 11 days with severe headaches, and he's never known to have it. He was one of those special people that never got headaches, I guess. Within a year he died of a heart attack, but he had a heart attack before that, but everybody said from the time this happened till he died, he was stressed, and he was worried about protecting his town from whatever it was. And the car had just had a tune-up like 2-3 weeks before down at, I don't know if anybody's around this area, Stanley Filer's garage. It's not, still sits there, but it's not in service anymore. Well, he got to town and he got to work the next day, and Stanley said, you got to go get Wheeler's squad car. It's up by the rock quarry. He said, what happened to it? He goes, it got zapped by a UFO and fried it. Well, he went and called his wife and said, this is it. We're getting out of this place. We're done. He come up here and got it, and like the spark plugs and the coil and the starter was fried and everything was melted, and
Wow.
and he just kind of put it off as something else, you know, and he changed everything out. And it was a few days later, 3 men in black showed up at the gas station and demanding the parts that he had replaced. They wanted the old parts. And he said they got so mad when I told them they were already sent off to scrapyard that they got so pissed off. He said I was afraid for a minute. But he said that's when I knew there was something about this and there was something to it. And he went and called his wife and said, maybe this ain't so bad. Maybe they aren't crazy.
He's still here.
And they still reside to this day in Elmwood. Me and my brother own a lot of land around here, and we own this farm. Well, I lived in this house for 11 years, from 94 to 2005. But there's always been a lot of activity around this place. Some people think there's a porthole in the back of the valley here, which is quite possible. Vortex porthole. The one kid was getting cattle over on that other farm, and he come in the barn without the cows, and his dad just blew up at him. What are you doing? You gotta get the effing cows in. He goes, I'm not going back out there. He seen one over these buildings, and it come right and swooped right, he says, within 50 feet of him, and then swooped up. And out across there's a little dip in the hill. A lot of times wake up in the middle of the night or go to bed at dark, and you'd look over and one would be sitting against the hillside over there, and it'd move, you know, and you know, I actually got in the car and drove down the road and see, you know, what the hell. And then one night I was coming downstairs to go to the bathroom, and the bottom of the stairs was lit up, just brighter than heck. I looked out the window, and there was a pole shed set right there, and it was way on this end. So I mean, you were a couple hundred feet from the house. I could see it, the shape of it then. It just sat there. I'm like, oh, I've got to go to the bathroom. I got to get up a couple hours to milk cows, whatever. So I went upstairs and I woke my wife up and I said, there's UFOs out there again. She goes, against the hill? I said, no, it's sitting right over top of the pole shed. If they want to do something, there's nothing we can do. We ain't going to stop them. Well, she watched it and went in the bedroom with the 2 kids and checked out, and she said about an hour it just took off. And if you've ever seen one a lot of times it's like they describe it, and it's true, like a spark off a grinding wheel. It's just gone. Yeah, that's how fast they can move. And it was gone, and that's this. Any questions here?
What year?
Yeah, we had 100 steers up here at the time. They didn't give a... The cattle around Elmwood are kind of like people. They, whatever. When you get back, if you get a chance, that Infinite Rabbit Hole, that podcast that's sitting on Main Street, just go talk. Just talk to them for 5 minutes. I mean, a lot of people are coming by, they ain't got, but just talk to them and then go see their presentation. And one of the questions they asked me yesterday is, they said, nobody can answer it. We want to ask you, there's no documented cases, newspaper articles after 1988. And they said, why is that? I said, it's not a newspaper-worthy thing anymore. Somebody sees a UFO sighting, it's not something the newspapers are going to, because it's so common. It's not like 75 in the 80s when it was just coming out and it was a big deal. People still see them all the time. I see them all the time. It's just not the... I've actually seen a really good one on July 5th, the latest I've seen them.
This year?
So,
Are these sightings at night or anything like the day?
she asked if they're just at night or anything during the day. I actually had a video of a lady 2 years ago up on top of the hill by a rock quarry. She had a video of one during the day. And it wasn't real clear, but if you zoomed in and really slowed it up, you could see it. They claim that a UFO, one could be sitting right there. The light goes around them in like a camouflage, and it's like they're not even there. It's like you're looking at the same sky, but there's actually a UFO there. They claim there's more out in the day than there is at night, is what people claim. The only way you can find them was an energy detector or something. This one is there ain't much to tell about. Hobbs Wilson back in June '72, it was one of the first sightings. He was coming back from, and Hobbs was I don't know how to explain it, he was a town elder. People would stop and talk to him, went to Linda.
Yes, they would.
You just stopped in and talked to him, and he just knew the history of everything, he knew everything, and
He's a bachelor.
he was coming back, from Plum City, and right in this dip, right in front of us, there's a little red barn behind those trees. And he noticed 3 little lights, ships dancing around this barn. So he stopped, and he sat there for 45 minutes and watched them, and there was other cars that pulled up and stopped with him. And said after about 45 minutes, a big ship kind of come close, and then they all went and followed that big ship, and they were gone.
The kids.
They never come down by the car. They never did anything other than dance around. It was one of the first ones, though, so everybody wanted to hear about it. You can just imagine every word got out. Hobbs sitting by his little old house, so everybody was stopping in, talking to him. And any questions? And you can start driving. I keep talking. And I strongly, Sarah's speaking right now, so you're going to miss Sarah. She's a good friend of mine, and she's very good. But if you get to if you can go to that infinite rabbit hole and see their presentation, or if you can't, just stop by their booth and just chat. They're really nice guys. Chat with them for a couple of minutes. And when we get, it's hot on this bus. Everybody's probably going to want a drink. The sandbar. I ain't prejudiced or anything. I just don't have the bar. But so if you want a drink or anything, they'll help you out in there. I'll be standing outside the bus if anybody wants to have any quick questions afterwards.
After that eye-opening tour, it was time for tractor pulls, brats and beer, and the adult water fights, which was something I'd never seen before. And as much as I wanted to stick around and watch Rebel Queens rock out, I had to go over to the ball field to check out the Stargazing and ET Contact lecture.
As I walk you through this meditation, I want you to keep an eye on your third eye. What are you seeing? Now I want you to think about the things that you love. Think about the people that you love. Think about the activities that you love doing. Think about every single thing on this planet that you have gotten to know, that you have an affinity for, you have that utter, unconditional love for. Sit with that feeling. You are a part of something bigger than just yourself. You are a part of the collective, of the universe. Something that's very important for this process is gratitude. Let your eyes be guided to a spot on this hill. When driving into Elmwood, this is the hill that always makes me feel different. When I see it, I know an energy has shifted. Take a look at the hill, find a spot, and you may see energy taking form, shifting. You might see lights. You might see blurs. Has anybody's eyes been drawn to that particular area on the hill? Okay.
I think like 10 o'clock to your position at the top of the tree line. There's no leaves on the tree.
On the very top.
Mm-hmm. The ridge on the tree.
As we saw the cardinal, they bring animals in to help us, to help with their communication. Did anything else happen that anybody wants to share?
I saw a little light over that hill. It was a very, very small, very brief light.
Awesome. See, it doesn't even have to be nighttime. Isn't that wonderful? And it's all because look at how many people are here putting the same intention, the same frequency. We all grounded ourselves to come to the same energy level, right? The more people that do it at the same time, the more that intention has power. Imagine if we had the entire world thinking that way. Even a fraction, 1%, as Dr. Stephen Greer says, all we need is 1% of the population to think in that way of love and peace and light, and we can change everything. It's people like you who are going to change the world because you have an open mind and you're willing to think outside the box and outside of what you have always known because you're not stupid. And I'm not calling other people stupid. I'm saying that you're so smart to recognize that there's so much more beyond what we know. Telling me within a couple of minutes the sky's going to get dark enough that we're going to start to see some stars popping up, but it's not stars. Keep your eyes to the sky.
I don't know what's so straight ahead of the top. See up there, top of the line. Yep, there's a light that's up there. I can't tell if it's just like brush going back and forth. See it?
I think I
So
do.
if you're at 12 o'clock, it's going to be
The
11
trees are,
o'clock.
yeah.
What is that light? Like, are you seeing it through the trees? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
see it? It's, I can't tell. It's like a lighthouse up there.
It's like waves like
Yeah.
a flame.
It's like if a lighthouse turned around and the light's doing this.
Yeah.
See, there it goes. There it
Yep,
goes. There it goes.
yep.
What is that? What is that?
It's next to it.
So if this is here, it's gonna go this way.
It is like an orange glow. Do you see that?
It's like emanating its light. Just put it on this.
Oh, thank you.
There's a light source up there. I don't know what it is.
I mean, okay, I'm being called to try a little experiment if you're all willing to do this with me. I want us to start clapping and cheering and think about the most happiest moment of your life while you're doing it. Is everybody up for that? We're not going to do it for long. We'll do a burst of excitement to see if they can come near. Okay, ready? Let's go. I have goosebumps.
what the? What? So I grabbed my phone.
And it's not
I did see
fake
lights in the
like
sky.
a satellite.
But
A
then
satellite's
wrong
fake,
buttons were
like
pressed, as
but
usually
it's
happens.
way more faint right above the
And then sadly I realized I was just videotaping myself. It was the reflection in my glasses. Dang. Someone else there did get some good footage, and I got some screenshots of things that were going on in the night sky that
Thank
night.
you all for coming. Appreciate it. Try this at home. And if you haven't already, watch Dr. Stephen Greer's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. He teaches you how to do these protocols.
And then I made my way back to Rebel Queens. I had another battery. It was just deep inside my bag and didn't have time to get it out and put it in to capture that UFO. I watched a whole other set of Rebel Queens, and then as I was walking back to my car, I started to hear them playing Magic Man and had to go back.
He's a magic